It's holiday season in the One Piece community because Gear 5 is the gift that keeps on giving. Sliding down the dragon gullet, Skypiea callback, Sonic the Hedgehog shenanigans, straight tune-forcing dudes, and even a sprinkle of Charlotte Charles Barkley Katakuri. Oh my goodness. This episode of One Piece 1072 was out of this world. It was something else, crazy, spectacular, and in my personal book, I got spoiler warning for the rating section, in my personal book, it is better than episode 1071 of One Piece. The way I thought, honestly, it was to be expected, because I did tweet, I guess X post, what we're gonna call it nowadays, I did talk about this long before 1072 dropped, because 1072 was the animation of chapter 1045, which in my book, last year's rating for that chapter was a 10 out of 10. It was one of the greatest of all time in the entire story. So obviously I would be lying if I said that my expectations were low going into 1072. No, they were extremely high. They were very, very high. And the question is, could they deliver and meet my expectations? Yeah, the drums of liberation. Yes. They met my expectations for this episode of One Piece. Hence why you see me doing this video. And allegedly, this episode of One Piece also had such high traffic that it was also crashing certain sites. So people knew what was coming. The Nika madness was hitting us in full force. And I would argue that Toei did not disappoint. If you have not seen my reaction to the episode, of course, for the time being, it's on Patreon, but later in the future, it will be edited and put on the usual platforms where I do my episode reactions. And also, we are going to start some short form content real soon for you guys and gals to enjoy across spectrum. Number two is that for this episode, of course, we have to give credit where credit is due for all the amazing men and women that made this glorious episode of One Piece possible.
Tell me.
So here we go. For the storyboard, there is quite a bit of people that took part in this episode. You have Tatsuku Shimaya, Megumi Ishitani. In case you forgot, she was the one that directed episode 1015, the unarguable 10 out of 10 One Piece episode. That being said, Bahi JD, Tu Young C, and Takeshi Mayanami. The episode director was Tatsuku Shimaya. Animation supervisors were Nobuyuki Iwa, Keisuke Mori, Shigefumi Shingaki, and Horitaka Ito. Animators include Keisuke Mori, Tu Young C, Shinya Ohira, the Madman Akihiro Ota, Ryo Onishi, who did quite a bit, who did a lot, like a lot in this episode of One Piece. Bahi JD, Chris, Julian B, Now Toshi, aka Goat Toshi Shida, Nobuyuki Iwa, Masahiro Kitazaki, Masayuki Sato, Yoshikazu Tomita, Shota Sanomiya, Hiroaki Nakamichi, Makoto Muroi, Noriko Ozeki, Meiko Saito, Huang Kui or Qian, I forget how it works in Chinese, I'm saying Huang Qian, Zhang Yuheng, Kami, Yi Pan, Ihabo Azamo, Romario Clark, Zhong Yung Jung Boxi, Levent Kotil, Heezy Wei, Hideo Nakamura, Hirotaka Ito, Inu, Ryo Kamakura, Ririka Fukaya, Yoshito Miki, Quinn Peng, Riki Miura, Runzi Wang, Haruhito Usui, Shinsuke Matsuo, Kaisuke Okubo, Shiho Hoshino, Juni, Ano, Eddie, OLM Asia. Wrap it all off, the assistant animation supervisors were Tu Young C, Ryo Onishi, Bahi JD, Akihiro Ota, and Masayuki Sato. Shoutouts to Skippy on Twitter and YouTube for posting the entire list of people on his Twitter page. But with such a robust list of animators and people that took part in the creation of the episode, what do we get? Man! What we got was otherworldly, absolutely cartoony, zany, wonky, epic as all hell, Luffy versus Kaido, Gear 5 versus the Azure Dragon. Insanity, absurdity. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's run through the heat. There are some things that are a bit on the negative side, I'm not gonna deny that. But before we get to that, let's get to the heat. And the heat in a big way kicked off with Goat Toshi, now Toshi Shida, where after this dude Luffy gets gulped down by Kaido, pause, hard pause. The fact of the matter, though, is that Luffy, inside of Kaido's gullet, was having a good time. One of the things that just floored me was seeing Luffy's face on Kaido's belly. That was scary. That was crazy. That had me floored. Just immediately, I was like, okay, I'm here. What? This had me by the cojones. Because the anime, compared to the manga, the toon aspects are so much stronger, and they just shake you to your core. They just baby shake. They baby shake you to your core. Luffy's face was etched into Kaido's skin. Bro, man. So now Toshi had a marvelous scene and a great starter to the madness that was episode 1072. Just how way back when Luffy got swallowed up by the Lord of the Sky, the giant snake on Skypiea, Luffy follows suit with Kaido and he's sliding down, he's having a good time, doing all sorts of wonky stuff. And then there's a follow-up Skypiea bit where you see the shadow of Luffy in the sky as the lightning flashes. Everything from that up until Luffy runs back to Onigashima after taking that blast breath and getting catapulted into the sky. That was all Ryo Onishi. Dude, that whole sequence was just out of this world. Even when he's doing the jump rope stuff. Oh, the jump rope scene was gnarly because the way he does it, it's like he's applying so much force where he's jump roping Kaido, spinning him like a gravitron, and then the force is so great, he's creating these massive shockwaves in the entire area. Just, you go down and then boom, shockwave. You go down again, another massive shockwave. So that, bro. So the animation quality off the rip in the vast majority of scenes was great. Even when we cut away from Luffy and Kaido and we follow Law and we follow Kid, we follow Hyogoro, we follow Marco and Chopper, even then the animation was pretty good. That was under the direction, the storyboard of Megumi Shitani. She was in charge of that section, and that section, for what it was pretty good. I will admit that at first, when I first saw it, I was kind of like, meh, I want to focus more on the fight, and that's really it. Clearly it was drawn out a lot more compared to the manga version, where we don't see them at all until Luffy's face smashes through the top of the skull dome, and then they all freak out with the bug eyes. But in hindsight, after watching the episode like a few more times, I changed my mind. I thought that actually was a pretty good lead up because it gives you that on the ground perspective of realizing what is going on with Luffy. He's actually up and active, but we can't get the full gist of what's going on. And everyone is serious, everyone is tense, the fight of their lives, where you even see like snippets of some of Kid's own men getting crushed by falling debris. One samurai guy getting burned on his back, but he's powering through, fight of his life. We have like Hyogoro coughing up blood. You even see some of the female crew members of both Kid and Law's crew for a split second working together, fighting against some of the Beast Pirates. So what this scene does is actually refocus the stakes of this fight between Luffy and Kaido, where if Luffy dies, we are all going to lose guaranteed. We can't stop Kaido. We keep on building that tension like tensile strength, and it's only added when you think about the fire approaching them and they can all burn to death. Especially when you realize that all that tension is kind of building up for, we gotta believe in Luffy, he's back, he'll save us, and then boom, his skull crashes through the skull dome with that, and it was like, what? That Conqueror of Three Worlds, Ragnaroku. Oh man, that was tough. That was tough. Hey, yo, shout outs to Masami Mori for that scene. Bro, that scene was intense. Just Luffy running, the fire on his feet like we saw in the manga, and Kaido just timing him. The step ladder, the return stroke, Ragnaroku! That was great. That was a great scene. However, what happened? The best animated scene, I think we know what it was. The best animated scene, for sure, was this man, Akihiro Ota, and co-signed with Shinya Ohira, where these two have the drums of liberation, the heartbeat, the lead up to actually getting what we got last episode with the funky beat, the dun 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 dun. That lead up, no man. This is part of the reason why the Gear 5 stuff is so damn dope. It's the music. It is the genuine music. It's the sound effects. Kind of goes aside to do in episode 4 of JJK season 2. It's almost like he's getting that high. He feels the beat, right? Music makes you lose control. He's feeling that beat. He's getting that rhythm. He's kind of getting high in a way. He's feeling himself in a very good way. So Shinya Ohira and Akihito Ota did a marvelous job with that scene. That scene was just trippy, but it was so damn powerful. So powerful to the point where some haters online were saying, oh, it was AI generated. Nah, shut up. Some punk ass dweeb said that, got caught by Twitter's own algo. Like, what are you doing? Stop trying to deny the greatness that was episode 1072. And I'll be honest too, I'll keep it a stack. To me, the greatest scene wasn't even that. To me, it was afterwards, where afterwards we had pretty much a Sonic Adventure 2 battle situation with Luffy versus Kaido. That to me was my favorite scene because I thought it was so damn cool seeing Luffy run around like Sonic, grab the earth like he was an earthbender, and then bounce around the earth like he was Super Mario on star power, slam Kaido. That whole thing was unbelievable. Those scenes were done by YMBM, Masami Mori, Julian Bentley, and Bahi JD as far as I understand it. Those scenes were so fun. That was just unbelievable the way he did that. That had me rolling. That had me just spinning. Again, if you saw my reaction, you already know by now. So these are things I genuinely loved about this episode of One Piece. Once again, the sound effects I thought were just utterly hilarious, where you have Luffy inside of Kaido's body, and then you have that sound beat, that dunga 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 dunga. Like, I'm like, bro, that was lit. To me, I enjoy that tremendously. When he's running back after taking Kaido's last breath and he's running on the sky, he starts doing that Tarzan yell, that I'm like, what? Bro, nah, yo, nah. Luffy was a great show. Luffy, see, that's one of the things about these episodes of One Piece that the other top tier episodes don't really have. It's the music, it's the OST. Where even when he was going Sonic, they have the over-the-top music. As you have that sort of zany, wonky feel sound effects with Luffy having a good time with the Tarzan yells. The other episodes just don't duplicate that grand OST compared to what Luffy's doing with the Nika Madness. And that is a part of the production, and I thought they've done a great job of that so far, without a doubt. Without a doubt. However, what happened? There are some bad things in the episode where I thought they could have done a better job, and so we'll tackle those real quick because we gotta eat our veggies. We have to clean the plate. The first thing that is pretty apparent is that there are these moments, these flashes of Dreamcast Kaido.
Leave me alone!
Akira!
Flash in there, CG Kaido. And CG Kaido, it is minus points. Not necessarily a lot of points, but for a top tier episode, it is minus points, undeniably. That's the first thing. Number 2, for the bad, is that Luffy unironically goes into a Super Saiyan golden aura when he powers up after powering down, going into deflated old man form when he's super tired. And to be fair, it's happened before, so it's not necessarily a big deal, but then when you have the recap images and flashes of Momonosuke, and Otama, and Pedro. Pedro! That's also not the greatest. Recap scenes, a lot of times, kind of feels a bit bloated, but at the same time, it was done during halftime, where mentally Luffy's in the locker room, he's taking a break. So you can argue if there was any time to do it, it was then. But that being said, I'd argue even still, they weren't necessarily placed as well, let's say, as the Sanji piece recap stuff at episode 1061. Where those I thought were a lot better placed and organized compared to what we got with this episode for 1072. Just the recap stuff. So I would say bloated, not necessarily the best. And then finally, some of the adaptations I think were done better in the manga compared to the anime. So number one, I thought was the actual Gigant pose that Luffy does in the manga chapter version of this 1045, where that pose, you can argue, was like a iconic image, like one of the best panels in One Piece, where you have Kaido below and then you have Luffy above, and then it kind of gives you a sense of scale here, seeing how big Luffy is compared to Kaido. That was a fantastic shot in the manga, but the anime counterpart is far from. It doesn't have like that same sort of feel, that same sort of intensity. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is that Kaido does that blast breath to Luffy in the manga. And in the manga, it's like clearly his best blast breath by far. Like, it is a phenomenal blast breath. Luffy has to ride that wave for like dozens or hundreds of miles, and then he has to run back from there. And that moment I was looking forward to in the anime, but in the anime, they take it in a completely different direction, where instead Ryo Onishi has the blast breath that Luffy's riding hit the gigantic horn on the right brain tower side, and then that cuts off the blast breath, then it catapults Luffy further away, like much further away, and then has to run from there. So the attack itself, that one blast breath, does not look nearly as good as its manga counterpart for sure. However, the anime does have these add-on moments where you do see, before Luffy comes out of the clouds, the Skypiea effect, where he's in the clouds and you see his shadow flashing along the lightning. That is a phenomenal, because I'm a huge Skypiea fan, that is a phenomenal add-on compared to the manga version, I'd argue. Then, even though that one gigantic blast breath attack against Luffy is better in the manga, Luffy's rebound is tremendously better in the anime, I'd argue. Because in the manga, Luffy is still falling, and as he's falling, he has to run with the flaming wheels as he's falling back up. In the anime, Luffy kills his momentum completely. Luffy, like an unironic Looney Tunes character, Luffy completely shuts off all of his momentum. He defies gravity and then proceeds to run. I'm like, wait, whoa. I was like, hold on. I mean, that just felt busted, okay? Yeah, he was running on like Sonic afterwards, and then he grabbed the ground, did the whole Mario bounce thing, but just seeing Luffy kill his momentum, just dead stop. Not like he was flying, he dead stopped with like a few kicks. And then it's like in the air, okay, here we go, yeah! Right, okay, so. And FYI, when he rubber fires and he punches Kaido's skull, that absolutely was done better in the anime than the manga. So shout out to Too Young Say for that scene, because that was amazing in the anime. In conclusion, I loved this episode of One Piece. If true, there's a reason why. Once again, the traffic was so damn good. It was so damn high, it once again took down a few sites. This episode was, again, better than 1071, and it is the closest episode, I think, to episode 1015, the perfect, genuine 10 out of 10 episode of One Piece. In my book, it's better than a long list of top tier episodes that we've seen so far in this arc, including both Zoro piece and Sanji piece, 1061 and 1062, which I love, but you guys know I had to drop the rating down to a 9 out of 10, and the reasons why you can find out here in this video, right here. This episode just had me at the balls. The episode was like 25 minutes. My reaction was like an hour long. Like, unironically, my reaction was like long as hell, because I'm pausing, I'm rewinding, I'm going back. Like, it was just a good time. Well, I would say it's a good time. Maybe, oh, can you pause too much?
Don't care.
Don't stop me. Don't stop me now. Don't stop me. So, that being said, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was marvelous. Again, 9.5 out of 10 in my book. But let me know your stance on episode 1072 of One Piece. If you enjoy your boy's content, then make sure to, of course, rate the video with a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click on that bell after double tapping subscribe to join the notification squad. I'm gonna catch you cats on the flip side.
See you. Bye-bye.